This is Nico from BMW Blog, and today we're going to talk about digital gauges. BMW was actually sort of new to the digital gauge cluster world. Audi was the first one to really come out with like really impressive customizable digital gauges. They call it the virtual cockpit. And to be honest, it's still the gold standard of digital gauges. Now, BMW switched over to digital gauges recently, and it's called the Live Cockpit Professional. And at first, people were excited because it looked cool and it was new, and BMW was sort of kind of jumping on the bandwagon. But that's a topic for another time. Today, we're going to talk about how to use it. Now, it should be very simple and straightforward, and it is very simple and straightforward, but we're just going to give you a little crash course today on how to use it and how customizable it is for any kind of newcomers to the BMW brand, or anyone that's maybe had older BMWs with traditional gauges and now have a newer BMW with these new digital ones, and maybe they're a little bit confused. So without wasting any more time, let's jump in. So first, let's start up the car. As you can see, the little graphic for the car comes up in the main screen, and you have your speedometer to the left, your revs to the right. You have your fuel gauge to the left and your temperature gauge to the right. You have a little map in the middle of the screen, which is you can change. If I go into the iDrive system and I go to displays, I can change that screen, the instrument panel, just a little bit. It's not all that helpful, but I can change it from the map you see there to a route preview, which kind of tells me, the list of instructions for my navigation, or I can just turn it off entirely. But usually the map preview is what everyone has, and that's what we're going to stick with. Now, as you can see, the tachometer, your rev counter on your right, is actually kind of backwards. So if I rev it up, you see it goes up and to the left, which is kind of backwards and a little confusing. And that's kind of what enthusiasts complain about for the most part. Now, if you notice on the right side, inside that tachometer, there is a little gauge. Now, right now, it is on fuel economy. It's telling me my average miles per gallon, and it'll give you a live update on that. Now, if I use the little BC button on the left wiper stalk, I can cycle through different menus. This one shows you, your vehicle data, so miles, your trip computer and all that stuff. If I click through again, that is my horsepower and torque, and it's live. So if I rev it up, you can see how much horsepower and torque the engine was making just then. If I click over to the next one, that's a G meter. So that will show you how many G's you're pulling. Again, it's live, so as you drive around, it will show you how many G's you're pulling. That is your media, your current media. And this is just your, your current gear, your performance mode. So I'm in sport mode now, but if I switch it to comfort, it says comfort. And if I switch it to Eco Pro, it's, Eco. And if I switch to Eco Pro, you can see there the rev counter changed. So it's, it shows you, at the top, how much power you're using, like how much of the power you're using. And then if, you're coasting, it will actually go into the bottom portion, which shows you how much regenerative braking you're getting. So that's nice. And if I go one more over, it's, your fuel efficiency and stuff again. So those are the different little menus you can have. If I go back to sport mode, you see the gauges turn red and everything. And, it's kind of just a little bit sportier, but it's basically just the same. So let's take it for a quick spin, just so you can see what the gauges look like as you're driving. Now, one thing I am going to do is put it into manual mode here, so you can watch kind of how it revs up. Now, this is the horsepower and torque gauge, so you can see live how much horsepower and torque you're actually using, which is pretty cool. I mean, is it very useful? No. It's not very helpful at all, but it's just cool nerd stuff. If you're a car nerd like us, that's cool, fun information. And I personally love gauges of any kind, so it's just kind of cool to see. So switch over to the G meter now. I'm pulling almost no G's, obviously, right now, because I'm kind of just cruising at 30 miles per hour. But there's no one behind me. really. So if I hit the brakes a little, you can see the G meter move up and show some negative Gs. And that's pretty cool to see. But ultimately, you're never really going to use a G meter because unless you're on a track, you know, you're never really going to pull any kind of interesting enough Gs to use the G meter. Though if you do track your car, it is cool to know, you know, sort of at what point, you know, your car reaches its max grip levels and things like that. It's kind of cool. Media, and then back to the gears. Now, as you can see, you know, it's manual mode, so it drops down to the first gear as soon as I come to a stop. So if you're new to BMWs and new to digital gauges, and this is a relatively new technology to you, that's how you use them. That's what they can do. And that's really about it. They're really quite simple. So that's BMW's Live Cockpit Professional Digital Gauge Cluster in a nutshell.